What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Pursuing Purpose. And today, guys, I'm joined by the legends, the one, the only, the best couple, Russell and Kachina Rodden.
Best couple. Did you hear that, Spicers? I'm joking.
The best couple. How do I define that? I don't know. I should probably take that back.
Oh, what in the world?
Yeah, you're making her regret because you called out the Spicers.
Oh, Lord. This is starting off great. Okay.
What's up, guys? Take two.
No. So Russell and Kachina, guys, if you know them, they go to my church. Is how I know them. I've known them for a few years now. I don't know. How long have I known you guys? Not,
like
I mean,
2 years.
Yeah, like 2 years. So just a few years. But honestly, I feel like I've known them for so much longer. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm closer to you guys than a lot of people. Probably just because I see you guys all the time. And
similar interests.
Some very similar interests. Yeah. The boys love me.
Yeah,
I am Daniel, so.
They're obsessed with you.
Yes. No, literally, Zeke has, like, all the kids think my name's Daniel. Like, all of them because of Zeke. I'm like, yes, call me Daniel. That's my name. I love it so much.
And he prays for you all the time.
I know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's blessed. That's why I'm good. That's why I'm so blessed. It's because of Zeke.
True.
Literally.
Hey, it's got power
children's
in his prayer
though, like those things, they work.
It's powerful.
It's so powerful. So going ahead, for people who don't know you, just tell like a little bit about you guys, kind of a little bit of your story or what brought y'all to FWC, something like that.
Take it away.
Let's see. Kachina and I, we've almost been married 10 years. We've got two boys, Ezekiel and Zadok. Zadok's the oldest. He just turned 6. And Ezekiel is 2. He'll be 3 in August. But yeah, we're from Tennessee. We both lived in Tennessee most of our lives. Yeah. But we I used to go to Family Worship Center many moons ago when we first came here to Tennessee when I was 11. I'm 36 now, so 25 years we've been here in Tennessee. And when we moved here, we started to go here. My aunt and uncle went here back when it was in the old building off of Sulphur Springs, and they started going there. I went to college, and my parents started going to a different church, and then we came back. And but basically, long story short, we a couple of years ago, we were looking for a church, and we were like, let's just go. My brother and his wife were going here again, and we decided we would try Family Worship Center. And just, just a life group, everything here, we just fell in love with, particularly there's people our age that we just really connected with, and people that were younger than us than we connected with. But just like in general, people were encouraging, there was just life here and love here, and it was just what we needed. And so we started coming here. Yeah. And then we've been helping with the worship. At the time, Pastor Eddie was here, and he had helped me to kind of help with some transitions in worship. And so we did that and loved it. And yeah, so we've been here 2 years now, and we love being a part of this thing, helping with the kids and with the music.
Yeah. When we came here, I mean, honestly, we were really kind of in a weird spot in life. Like, it felt like everything that we kind of had known shifted in a way. And I just had Zeke. It was 2020, so everybody's world was shifting. And it really was a time that we had to trust God fully. Not that, there's a time where you shouldn't, but but we felt like really like we had to rely so heavily on him in that time. And I, he talked about his brother and sister-in-law. Our sister-in-law, they went here, and we were kind of like, we don't want to come here and follow them. They've kind of already established themselves here, and we don't want to like hone in on their area,
Their turf.
Turf, yeah, and become the other Roddens. So when we came at first, then we also kind of looked at other places, and then one of the things that also kind of came up is that we were looking at possibly moving out of state for a worship leader position, and everyone there was just wonderful. That there weren't really any logical reasons to say no, but we just felt so deeply in our hearts that we were exactly where we need to be. Like God has placed just the right people and around us to lift us up and encourage us and provide community for our kids and opportunities for us to worship God together through kids ministry, through worship ministry, and everything in between. So,
and you're doing that.
Yeah, it's
That's
been
awesome.
really awesome.
Yeah.
God has been really faithful.
Absolutely.
He always is.
Well, I know I've been blessed to know y'all, for y'all being here. Like, for like, y'all are a couple that I truly like look up to. And I'm not just trying to like, boast you guys up or anything. Because me and Kachina joke around all the time. Like, I love it so much. Like, we kind of roast each other and like use like
She
our
tries
slang.
to keep up with my
Keep up
roasting.
with her slang, you know.
Oh yeah.
We'd be sending like Instagram reels and stuff.
Yeah.
So
They're really dope.
they're straight fire, no cap.
Busting.
Bussin'. Stuff like that. No, but for real, I love you guys. So thank y'all for being here and doing this for me.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
It's fun.
So the first thing I like to do is like do some icebreaker questions.
Okay.
And so since you guys are a couple, you're married. How long have you been married?
Almost 10 years.
Well, same as Nick and Brittany. That's crazy.
Let's go.
So I wanted to do like some most likely to questions.
Oh.
So like I'm just gonna ask you a question. You guys tell me like out of you two who's most likely to do this.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, here we go.
We
She's
are
ready. Kachina's ready, y'all. Okay, so who's most likely to lock themselves out of the house or the car? Is there a specific story that we need to hear?
I'm just forgetful sometimes. My mind is always in so many different places. I'm like on to the next thing, on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so, he's very, I don't know, you're consistent. And
She'll
he
put her
puts his
keys
things
down in a different place
Yes.
every time, wherever she is at the time.
Yeah.
That she's got to do this other thing. She puts
and
the
he
keys down.
he's like, this is where my keys go every time.
Yeah.
He's very ordered.
Same place, yeah.
We're a good balance.
Right. Hey, that's perfect.
Yes.
Opposites attract, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who's most likely to strike up a conversation with a stranger? Yeah, I thought it'd be Russ.
She's really good with strangers, though. She used to, when we served, she used to like offer to hold people's babies. We met serving at Jim and Nick's, and so.
Oh my gosh, Nick told me that today. He was like, they met at Jim and Nick's, and I'm like, really? I don't believe that. I literally did not believe that. I thought he meant like y'all just met, like y'all were just at the restaurant. I didn't know. Y'all
like I was eating, I saw
yeah,
across the room.
that's what I thought he meant.
Cheese biscuit in my mouth,
that's
like,
cringe.
ooh.
That is cringe. But so y'all were serving together, like you worked there?
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
And actually, we both worked there and were friends for like a year and a half, 2 years before we ever even dated. But the very first time his parents came in, then I thought it would be so funny. I don't know why I joked this way. It was I never joked this way.
I know why.
But I was like, "Hey, y'all, I'm your future daughter-in-law."
Oh.
And then 2 years later, we started dating.
To her, it was a
Okay.
joke because I was like a nerdy,
Yeah.
like shy guy, and she was like, "Oh, wouldn't that be funny if I was his future wife?"
But they just
And then I just chipped away and wooed her, and then bam.
that Russell charm.
Yeah.
Turn on the charm. That's awesome. Yeah, I had no idea. That's really that's funny though. Okay, who's most likely to be late?
Yeah.
Me.
I mean,
I'll drive fast. I'll get there.
yeah.
As
You'll leave
close
the
on
house late,
time.
but you'll be there on time. Eh?
Exactly.
She like we talked about. She tries to fit everything in. Like I can do 2 more things before we gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more
No,
her
I understand
drive
that.
to do as many things as possible.
I understand that for
Yeah.
sure. Who's most likely to not answer their phone or like not text back?
Me.
Bro, that's my mom. Literally, like she never answers her phone. I call her, never answers her phone. I'm like, I could be in a wreck. I could be somewhere like.
Your
What,
mom?
yeah, she just doesn't answer the phone.
Well, that would make sense to me if it was someone who wasn't like if my family calls, I'm more likely to answer. Other
No, she
people,
doesn't
I'm like,
answer.
I got to think about this. I'm doing this other thing right now.
Right.
I will get back
I wish
to
you
it.
No,
could
she
see-
doesn't
I have
answer
time
me.
to process.
Like she doesn't answer. Like my dad will be at work and he'll call me and be like, "Where's your mom?" Like she's literally sitting next to me and he's like, "Well, tell her to answer her phone." Like, right? And it's because she always has it on silent, so I get. She,
Yeah.
it's not like she picks it up and is like,
No.
"No." I was like,
Sound
That
like
makes more
Danielle
sense.
might be in a ditch,
Danielle
but
right now. It's
No,
like she doesn't
she
hear
just
it.
doesn't.
But like
she-
literally, we're always like, just turn your ringer on or something, or like at
Yeah.
least have
That's
it
kind
flipped
of a
over so you
good
can
thing.
see
She's
it.
not like attached to it. Like she's
Yeah.
not like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
That's
just
good.
really annoying though, because she gets mad whenever I don't answer the phone. But
It's
I'm like,
different.
girl, like you
It's
don't answer
different.
your phone though.
But your phone's not always on silent, probably.
No, it's not. Like
yeah.
I pretty much. I feel like I'm pretty fast to answer people's phone,
Yeah.
like text and phone calls. Just because
Yeah.
it's so annoying when people don't answer my calls or like texts. So I'm like, I gotta practice what I preach.
I feel like you and Russ are similar in that you guys are just like quick on your feet. You're like, this is what I'm going to say. Like, you're just quick processors. But it takes me time to process how I'm going to respond.
Well, and if it's something you need,
what
well, if someone asks me a question, I'm like, I need to think about this before I
Yeah.
answer. Then I'll like
Yeah.
obviously wait.
Not me.
Just like,
Fire. I'll shoot
Right
from
back.
the hip.
oh my goodness. Okay, who is most likely to get in a fight over a game? And what I mean by that is like, who's more competitive?
If we're on different teams, then both of us.
Yeah. We make a good team. We're both competitive, but in different ways. Not like in a fight, like we want to fight. Like we both like to win, but we don't get. Neither one of us get out of hand.
We don't want to be perceived as immature either, so we'll just be like low key aggravated if we're losing the game.
Like passive aggressive?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, I mean,
No.
maybe if you want to play that way, you can play that way. That's fine. If you want to do that, you want to
I
cheat.
mean, fine, if you want to cheat and like, okay, whatever. Like,
It's cool.
no big deal.
That's not really a word, but I'll give it to you. That's fine.
That's not really how you play, but okay. No, I'm like probably way too competitive.
Yeah.
Like way too competitive.
I can see that. For
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
No, yeah. Especially like the Green family. Oh my gosh, we can get pretty competitive.
Yes,
I don't know
yeah.
if you, I mean, yeah, we're all pretty competitive, I would say. But I'm pretty up there with like probably the most. Me and
Yeah.
my mom probably.
Oh yeah, I saw you play that cup game. We had a worship retreat, and you were pretty competitive.
Oh
with
my
the cup
gosh,
game.
yeah. See, I just don't even hide it. Like not even in public. I'm just
Yeah.
like I'm all in.
Just own it.
But
I'm
that's
just
part of what
owning
makes
it.
you good at things. Like if you want to be good at it,
Right.
then you'll work harder to
Right.
be good at it.
Like we're going to youth camp next week.
Mm.
Get ready.
Oh gosh.
She's
That's
coming
gonna be
out, the
awesome.
beast, you know? No,
This is not Danielle anymore. This is the
This is the
beast.
the beast. We call her the beast. So get ready.
Wild. Wild.
Straight wild, bro. Not even capping. Okay, who'd be most likely to appear on a game show? Like who would go on like a game show? Even like Survivor. Like who would go on a show like that?
I feel like you would. You're
Yeah,
the
probably
only
not
one.
like Survivor, but I think a game show would be fun.
Like Family
Let's go.
Feud or something.
I wouldn't
Or,
like. I don't
yeah.
like. She can watch like reality TV shows and get into it. Like I just cringe.
Bro,
and I
I
can't
want to go
watch
on
it.
Survivor so bad.
Wheel of Fortune would be a lot of fun.
Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah.
That is fun.
She
Let me guess,
auditioned for The
Asbury.
Voice, so she's been on all kinds of like. She
You
could be on
auditioned
a-
for The Voice?
It wasn't The Voice. It was American Idol.
Oh,
You
I'm so
did?
sorry.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
When I was in college, me and two of my, but it's just two of us. Yeah. Me and two of my sorority sisters went and we auditioned, but we didn't understand how everything worked. So really, you should have gone early to get your tickets, and then you could show up whenever to the audition, because the tickets are what determine what order you audition in. But then we went late for our tickets and showed up really early for our audition. So we just spent a lot of time there. It was a very long day. But we met this guy. I don't want to drop names or whatever. I don't know if he's even like
Do it.
well known. Adam Hambrick. He is
Bro,
on like
drop them names.
CMT's Top Music or something like
She's
that.
like, I don't
now.
want to drop names, but like,
Yeah,
I know this
like-
guy and he's like famous.
But he like advanced his different rounds, but then he didn't make it past like the third round, I think. But I don't even know if I'm supposed to tell that. That's his story to tell. Sorry,
Right.
Adam.
Hey, but you met him. That's
Hey,
so
this could
cool.
get him
Yeah,
his big
it was really
start.
cool.
So
When you
how does
listen
the
to this.
audition? So did you like audition for like the actual judges, or like do you have to do
Oh,
like
no.
a video
You have,
audition
like-
first, and then before you can even make it?
Stadium, like quick auditions.
Yeah, you have like 3 rounds of auditions before you get to the actual judges. So you have like producers lined up in this big stadium or auditorium, whatever. And you go in front of like, there's a panel of 3 in each like section. So there's just like small dividers between each. And then you have like 5 people that you audition with at the same time. Like they step up and sing for a little bit. Then you step up and sing for a little bit. And then they let you know if you're going to go to the next round or
So how far did you make it?
I did not make it past the first round. So I wasn't sure what. So I originally.
I'd be
This is why
terrified,
I think it was the Lord's. You should have sang a song to glorify me. So, I was gonna sing Amazing Grace, but to the melody of House of the Rising Sun. But the girl right before me sang Amazing Grace, so I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do that right after."
Oh,
her.
Lord, so you're just like thinking on the spot. Oh, what song?
So
did
then
you
I
do?
sang Maroon 5 song.
What song?
And it's all coming out,
Drop the
people.
name.
She Will Be Loved.
She will be loved.
Those high notes. Hey.
Okay.
So yeah, it was still a fun experience.
I was
wouldn't-
like, I bet it was
yeah.
so fun, like with your friends too. That was
Yeah,
probably
and you
really
get to
fun.
meet so many people. Like, I heard so much talent, and you got to hear about different musicians' stories. Like, it was really cool.
So did any of the people you auditioned with, did any of them like make it to like the judges? None of them?
No,
Dang.
we all made it. But we were also closer to the end. I mean, I'm not saying that's why, but it's probably.
Still.
I mean, it's probably, yeah.
Otherwise,
if I would audition
different
first,
story.
Man,
Then it would have been OB.
I could have won American Idol. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Kelly who? Kelly Clarkson?
Kelly who? What? Okay. Where are we? Most likely to cry during a movie.
Oh.
Oh.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I thought you were going to point at me, honestly.
No, yeah.
It depends on what it is.
You do get into movies like with fighting scenes, and he'll like like dodge.
Yeah, get him.
No, I think I get, and also like scenes where it's like a father, like son
Oh,
situation.
Yeah.
Like where the dad sacrifices himself for the son, or like something like
Yeah.
that, or like there's a big emotional breakthrough. Like I catch myself being like, what? And I'll always be looking at you like I'm not crying, but then like there are times when you're like, I'm like, are you crying? She'll be like, shut up, yeah, I'm crying.
Yeah, I'm crying.
But most likely to cry, maybe you. You are definitely overall probably cry more during movies.
I
but-
think we're both pretty empathetic, and that lends to
I would say
that.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? You cry? You a movie cry?
Yeah, definitely. I would say more for like
Yeah.
animal movies though, like Dolphin Tale.
Dolphin Tale. The classic.
Bro, I literally have said this before. Like, literally, this is gonna sound bad, but like, hurt people, fight people, whatever you want. But if you touch an animal,
Animals. Ugh.
like animal cruelty is it? Yeah, cruelty
Yeah.
makes me so upset. I'm like, I don't care if you go like punch each other, whatever,
Yeah.
hit a person, but
Or
don't
punch
hit
a
little
dolphin?
animal.
Come
Oh my
on.
gosh. No, I
Punch a
can't
dolphin.
even like think about like
No, I think of
boxing
like
and
dog
stuff.
abuse or something. You know, like that's in some
Yeah.
movies or something. It
Yeah.
like makes me want to cry. Like
Yeah.
the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Have you seen that movie?
Not
No.
yet.
So it's
Spoiler.
basically like Rocket. It's basically like Rocket's story, and he was
Yeah.
like
Aww.
abused basically as like a little raccoon.
Yeah.
And that I was like crying during that movie. I was like, this is Guardians of the Galaxy. Why am I crying? Like Dolphin Tale. That movie's really sad.
I don't know if I've seen Dolphin Tale either. Am I missing out?
I won't watch them anymore. They're too
Free
sad.
Willy.
Like all the
the
animal
Free
movies
Willy
are just really
Lifetime
sad.
movie.
Also like human movies too.
Yeah.
Like I cry about those. Like I cried when Iron Man died in Endgame.
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
Sorry. Hey, that movie's been out for like 5 years. If you haven't watched it by now, that's your fault. I cried when Iron Man died. Did
Yeah.
you cry? I cried.
Yeah, it was an emotional
It
moment.
was so emotional.
I think I cried when Pepper was like, "It's okay," or "We're
We're
okay,"
gonna be okay.
because that was what made. Because she's sitting here, he's thinking about, are they going to be?
Because
okay?
he's holding on. Because
He's
of his
worried
family.
about
He
them.
has a daughter and a wife.
and that's what makes it. That's why he
That's
didn't
what
even
makes it
originally
even-
help them. We're
Exactly.
talking Marvel geeking out now, but like
Right.
that's why
Hey,
he
I'm
didn't
a
want to help
Marvel
them
geek.
go back in time because he still had what he wanted to hold on
Mm-hmm.
to. So that's crazy. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did cry during that part.
I'm pretty emotional, I would say. Now that I think about it, I'm a pretty emotional person. I didn't feel like I used to be an emotional person, but I definitely am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
That's
Embrace
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
Don't
I
be punching
I
dolphins
actually
around
cry all the
Danielle.
time, so
She gonna cry.
I cry at least once a day. But anyways, okay.
That's-
Just once a day.
Most likely to scream if they see a spider or like any bug.
You're not. Neither of us are really like anti-bug or like afraid of
Yeah.
bugs. Now we may go like get away from me, bug.
Yeah.
But I think it's when I can't see it that it scares me the most. When I just feel it, that I'm like, what is happening, and I'll kind of
Right.
like move away from the
Yeah.
situation. We're not big bug screamers. Like no,
Yeah.
I can't even think of
Neither.
a situation where I've ever heard you really like scream.
Yeah. And like fight or flight, I think I would be more fight.
She'll usually be like, Russell, or like she'll be like, it'll be more like a get ready. Yeah, she's like a get ready.
Get ready, I'm about to fight this bee.
I don't even know, dude.
I'm about
Some
to
of my
punch-
favorite
I would never
stories.
punch a bee.
I'm about to punch this spider.
Some of my favorite stories are whenever we hear a noise in the house, and I'll like go to investigate, and I'll be groggy, and it'll be like late at night, and then the garage door will hit or something will, the wind will push something, but it sounds like somebody was there. So I'll like go check it out, and then I'll come turn around like ready to go back to bed, and Kachina will be holding something, and it's always something different. One time it was a knife. One time it was like a plunger. Like it can be some, but she's ready to fight somebody, and she's got my back, and it's so funny because
I don't
I'm
think
like,
I would ever actually in that situation, but like that's my knee jerk reaction. Like I
To
gotta
grab
defend
something.
myself. But I've also had a lot of weird like.
Yeah,
Murfreesboro
that's
can
true.
Get crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a lot of strange situations where people have come up to me in Murfreesboro that I didn't have in the small town that I lived in. So
people bold,
Just-
being weird.
You're out here in the big city now, so
Yeah, big city borough.
big city of the borough.
the new
we out
Nashville,
here.
as Earth calls it.
The new Nashville.
Right. No, literally, I
Trademark
think
Kidney.
Murfreesboro is like top 5 on like the fastest growing cities
is,
in like the whole country.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's growing so fast.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question for you. Are you ready for this?
I don't know. She's grinning.
I know. I don't
You ready for
trust
this
this.
Who's most likely? Who's most likely? Stop.
I don't even know what you're
Who's most
saying.
likely
Like,
to work boogers into an exhortation moment?
Oh,
Oh,
I think that's
yeah.
specific
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
Do you
I think
remember
that-
that?
Yes, I remember.
Do you remember that? Okay, and Nick was like, "You should ask that. You should have him explain that." I
Just
was
explain
like,
it.
I guess.
Do you not remember? Do you
I
remember?
remember it very
Okay.
vividly. I can't remember if I was on the stage or off the stage, but I think I was off the stage. I remember so vividly though. It was like a transition, or it was during a song,
Yeah.
and you were like, "My son's Zeke, like he has these boogers," and like
These eye boogers.
these eye boogers. It was either boogers or eye
Yeah,
boogers.
he had a
something.
booger in his eye.
You know, we use a tissue, but like God's like our tissue, like He's moving those boogers out of your life. It was something like that.
Wow, that sounds even better than I put it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was probably different. But
No,
that's
that was
how I remember
basically
it.
that was basically it.
You even like during it, you were like, I don't know if I should be saying boogers on live, but like
I think I asked
Am I allowed to say
Pastor
boogers
Bryce
on stage?
position or permission a little bit too late, but yeah, I was like, can I say boogers up
Can
here?
I say
Well,
boogers up here?
I'm gonna say
I
boogers.
already said it.
And of course he was
Yeah.
like, bro, that's like mild.
That's like the best.
But yeah, God wants to take the boogers out of our eyes, but we won't let him. And Zeke didn't let me get the booger out of his eye, and I was trying to help him.
All right, so we just should let God remove those boogers.
Yeah,
Wipe those boogers away.
Wipe them
Get 'em.
boogers.
let God get your boogers.
But Russell is really real in like everything that like he is 100% himself, no matter where he's at and what situation
Right.
he's in. Like he's just this is me. I say boogers.
I'm not scared to say boogers from a platform.
I'm gonna say
Right.
boogers.
He'll say from the pulpit. Come on now.
But that's cool though, because I think it is important to see God and what He is capable of doing and
Absolutely.
His
yeah.
Word, and even something as weird as boogers.
You don't have to justify what I did. It was weird.
She's trying to make it spiritual.
trying to
okay?
make it
let her,
sound
let
better.
her, but let her make it
That's
spiritual
how
for the
you
people.
But it
We're
was
valid.
important to me. If I saw it in a movie, I would have cried. 'Cause it's
Right.
a man
No,
and a
it
son.
made so much sense though,
Yeah.
because I'm a very like visual person. So like,
You
even
pictured
use-
the booger.
yeah, I can visualize a booger. You know, I can visualize you just wiping the boogers off of Zeke's face, and so I can just visualize.
You
Like
were just crying.
I'm
and
not
think,
letting God wipe
thank you.
those boogers away. Like I need
You
to.
can have my boogers, God.
Yeah. You can have my boogers. That's good, y'all. We can write a song. We can
That's
write a
it.
song.
That slaps.
It
Is that cool
slaps.
now?
It's giving worship, so
It's giving.
it's giving.
Yeah.
The ice is broken. It's broken
The ice
so
is
hard.
straight
God.
broken for real.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh
feel
my
it?
goodness. No, I feel it
Crushed
for real.
ice.
Oh my gosh. Okay, snaps for that session of icebreakers. Very good. We learned a little bit about Russell and Kachina.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are I guess still kind of icebreaker questions, but they're getting into our topic.
Sure.
So, what is your biggest worship fail? That's just a fun one, and then I have a more serious one. I have quite a few, so I'm just thinking.
I mean, there's a couple of times I remember specifically asking God to just use me, and I don't care. I was on a big, like, I don't want it to be about me and stuff like that. And then later on, I realized that I hadn't plugged my guitar in for like the whole worship set. And the sound guy, I guess, didn't catch it because I think it was the Experience community. They had like back when they were in their old building.
Yeah,
they did like multiple people from different churches leading worship. And so I had gotten some people together and we led a set. And
I think you told
I
me
just
this
completely
story.
forgot to plug in.
Yeah.
And I was like, and there was times when I was really trying to like lead the band and like get them like driving it. And later on I realized I was not even plugged in like the whole time. So it was a humbling moment for sure. But that's the one off the top of my head that I can remember that I was just like crazy.
Yeah.
How about you? You got any worship fails? She's always perfect.
I know, I was like,
No.
I've never,
Far
not that I've ever
from
seen
it.
Russ mess up, but I don't think I've ever seen you.
I
up.
mean, I
Not mess up,
have
but just do something
forgotten
funny.
words. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty common.
That's pretty common. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's not great.
No, I have two specific ones just thinking of. They both so one of them was we were doing Hosanna, I think, for worship, and like I was leading it. It was during altar call, I think. I literally just completely forgot all the words of the verse. I only knew like the chorus, and I think I had just been told I was leading like the day before.
Yeah.
Or something, which I'm not like making an excuse, but I literally just like I was completely forgot the words, and I just started singing. It was so obvious that I
Okay.
forgot the words.
So that made me think of that time we went to Hannah and Brandon's youth group. I feel like that is similar situation. It was similar.
Oh man, yeah, she asked us to lead Chandler Moore, and Naomi Rain, Jira. You
Yeah.
are enough. And yeah, that was.
It was like back when it first came out too.
So we were
Yeah.
like learning it on the fly.
Yeah.
And
I felt bad. I felt real bad.
because
when
we were like,
I'm
this
sorry,
is one of our
Hannah.
old
I'm
students
sorry,
that
Brandon.
was doing great.
No, I know Hannah. I love
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
I bet
Okay.
I can.
So she's like, yeah, I want y'all to come. These are my old youth pastors. They're just gonna bless us, and we just kind of like we
Completely.
it seemed like we do this all the time, but we didn't represent ourselves probably the best, but they still were grateful, and
Oh yeah.
Hannah spoke
Yeah.
that night and crushed it. So
Yeah.
we didn't derail anything that she was doing. She still crushed it.
Yeah, the Lord was still moving.
Hey.
What was
a
the
good
other one?
thing.
You
Won't he
said
do it?
you said there was two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where's your
so the
other
other one. So it was Father's Day, and it was when Pastor Wayne was here. So it was like it was just men who did
Yeah.
worship. But Pastor Bryce, it was like his first time preaching, like on a Father's Day. He was just a youth pastor, but he asked me to like do Run to the Father as like the altar call. And so, and we were doing two services, and in first service, in the bridge, it was like, no, I think it's a chorus where it says, "Run to the Father, fall into grace, some of the hide, no reason to wait."
Heart needs a
Or
surgeon.
no, it's the bridge maybe. It's how's the bridge go? Running from life to death. I said I'm running from life to death instead of running from death to life.
Aw.
No, but like listen.
Gotcha.
To that, like, oh my gosh, y'all.
And-
I said it was hilarious though, because I said, hold on, I'm looking up the lyrics right now.
Running from...
Yeah.
No one else
running
probably
into
even
your
noticed.
arms. It's running from life to death. Wait, no, it's running to life from death.
To life
To
from.
life.
So you
To
mixed
life
up the two
So I
froms.
messed up the two, and I was like, it's running to death from life.
And then you're like, ooh.
And I was like, okay.
Nobody noticed.
I
Everybody
don't
was
think
in the
anyone
altar.
noticed though.
Yeah.
But now I get so nervous to sing that song, and like
Yeah.
I'm just like, life to death, wait,
Over and over.
yeah, life to death, you know.
Yeah.
So I definitely messed that up. But yeah, I
That's so funny.
feel like messing up the words is super easy.
Mhm.
But you know, like I don't think anything's ever happened. You know, like worship failed videos where like things will just like
Fall.
crumble and burn.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything like that's ever happened, as far as I can remember. Like me leading worship or anything.
Yeah.
But definitely forgetting words is a big thing.
One of my favorites is where the drummer's drumming and the fake
The
plant.
cage, like
the
Falls
fake
over.
plant like
Yeah,
falls
that's
on him.
exactly
He's like
what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
like
trying to
a
bat it
cage
away
thing.
was.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that hasn't happened, but that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, I love a good worship fail.
Yes.
Because it's like, what can you do in these moments? Just keep going.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, don't
her
take it too
keyboard
seriously.
drops.
Oh yeah, the keyboard just
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what to do. But that's not your fault. That's just
the ground.
faulty equipment.
Yeah. Stuff happens.
So what's y'all's favorite worship song? Like, do y'all have a favorite worship song right now, or like anything you're like listening to, or just like a classic?
I always have a hard time saying a favorite anything because it's really
Yeah,
hard to
it's
just
hard for
narrow
me to
down
pick a
one.
favorite.
Yeah.
For sure. Or like, what's some you've been listening to recently? It's kind of your go-to.
I really think that I'm often drawn to Stephanie Gretzinger, and I know she just has that new one, Narrow Way, but man, there's just something about like no one ever cared for me like Jesus, like thinking about reminding yourself of his love, but also the thought of a life left behind that glorifies him. Like once I'm gone, I want his glory to continue to be passed down through my family. I want that to be what's remembered because I'm nothing without him. And so I really, really like that one. It's usually a pretty good go-to. And Provider, I always sing around the house. So that was a
Provider.
good one too.
Which one is that?
Jehovah Jireh. Provider. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna sing it right now.
Bro, Kachina, sing us the song.
I think a new song that I've really been drawn to, and it keeps coming back to me, is the Firm Foundation. Christ is my firm foundation. That's just a really good song,
Yeah.
and I like the melody. I like the words. I like when Chandler and Cody Carnes sing it together. I just love that whole version, and the chord changes in that one. But one of my favorite, like I think I reference this song every once in a while, but like, it's called Hungry Falling on My Knees. It's an old song, but the verses are awesome. It's kind of like, do you know it? Like, I'm falling on my knees, offering all of me. Jesus,
you do a lot of hymns though, which I love. Like you really do. Like it's so funny on Wednesday nights because I put the songs in purpose and but Jamie runs it, and me and Jamie always makes jokes. He's like, he gives us 2 songs, but then he goes into like 5 extra hymns.
Jamie is a saint because I do keep him. I keep him on his toes with
you
stuff
go into
like that.
10 separate songs and he's like searching them and stuff, which is awesome. Like
Doris always eggs me on, and whenever Doris plays, and she can play, man, so I'll just like go off and be like, I can send her wherever and she'll go.
Yeah,
but
she'll just go off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Doris, like play your keys right now, play the piano.
It's good. It's been really good.
No,
and I love to hear everybody, especially certain songs you can get the whole room to sing, and me and Doris, it's a lot more intimate. So you can hear everybody really well. And if you can find something that they can all latch onto, man, it's like the unity is wild. So it's good.
Awesome. Yeah, I would say one of my favorite songs is probably like Refiner by Mav City. That's just like a classic. I feel like in like Reach, we did that like for a couple of years ago. We did it a lot. And there was just a really cool moment that we had in Reach with that song. So that song's just like one of my favorites. Yeah. Also, Awestruck. Have y'all heard that song? It's by Vows Worship. It's like VOUS Worship. I think it's a newer song, but it's Awestruck. Yeah. It's like how does it go? I'm awestruck. Now I'm singing the melody of Run to the Father with the words of Awestruck. What am I doing?
Life to death.
But it talks about like I'm awestruck in wonder. I never knew your love could feel like this. It's talking about his presence. It's one of my favorite songs right now. It talks about
a cool word to put in a song. Awestruck.
Yeah, awestruck, and it talks about just like the verses like before I was formed, you knew my name, kind of thing. So I think it's just it's a great song. So that's one of my favorites right now for sure. Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna listen to that.
Yeah, you have to listen to it. It's on the VBS set list. So.
Hey,
nice.
Hey. I think it's crazy to me how often a song can transform based on the moment that you're in with the song.
Absolutely.
Like there are times when somebody said, hey, we should do this song, and I'm like, nah, I listen to it, and because of the live recording even still, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can see why people like it, and then I'll be in some altar time and it'll be playing in the background, and something like God does something in that altar time, and it's like now this song has a connection.
Absolutely.
And so it's different.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, I don't know what happened to me with like falling on my knees, like, but that song was vital for me in a season.
Yeah.
And then it was sung at this certain time, and so now it's kind of got this. And that's why I think that we have people on Wednesday night that are like, man, if you could just do Great Is Thy Faithfulness, because that song to them in some service was like,
exactly.
would just really hit. So now their spirit, whenever they sing that song, gets like transported to that like moment with God, that Bethel.
Yeah. That's definitely what Refiner is for me, just because like the moments I've had with that song.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So that's why I'm so connected to it. But yeah, it is cool. I like, you can hear a song one time and it's like doesn't really hit, but you hear it and you have like a special connection with it, and it's like your song.
Yeah.
So
It's
worship's
important.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're just gonna jump right in. We're gonna be
Speaking of worship,
that's kind of our topic for today. So I guess we'll just start with like, what would y'all define worship? Like, how would you, what would be your definition of worship in your personal lives?
Well, the Bible says that worship is a way of life, but also a specific activity. Jonah said that I worship the God of heaven who created the land and the sea in the Old Testament. And then in the New Testament, then Paul talks about giving your life as a sacrifice that's good and pleasing to God. And that's true worship. And some versions say spiritual worship, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a lifestyle, absolutely, a consistent laying down of your life to glorify God, but also the praising and worshiping Him and revering Him in public ways, but also in private ways. And I think that's important too. So that's a very...
Okay, guys, well, thank you for watching our podcast. That's all for today. Yes. Look at you, Kachina. No.
Well, it's the Bible, so
It is the
it's going
Bible.
to say what the
No.
Bible says.
I don't know what else I could say to add to that. I think it's any act that like, it's when you do something intentionally for God. And that's why I think I was thinking about, I went to a conference on worship with Rick Pino, and Rick Pino talks a lot about how as he became a dad and a husband, his worship shifted a little bit, as far as it used to be where he could just spend hours, in off in a room just playing and singing. And he said, now worship looks like loving my kids and spending time with my kids and discipling my kids and doing the dishes and, and being... And it makes me think of the scripture that says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it, unto the Lord. Like, do it. And so when you shift your mindset, and I think that also keeps you from doing some shady things. If you're thinking everything that I'm doing, every intention is for the Lord, everything, then that's your worship. Then, like she said, that's your spiritual act of worship, like Paul says. So I do think that we have times where it's focused musically. I think music and corporate worship is a way for us to kind of hone in on that. Like, music is obviously a powerful tool that God uses and God ordained to bring unity and to bring memory, even, right? Because it's a memorization tool. Like, maybe I can't remember a scripture, but if you put a song to it, then I'll remember it. So when we're singing the praises of God together in corporate and even in private, but the melody and that stuff can kind of hone in some of that worship, declaring who God is, singing to Him. But I do think that it's all, when we do those things, when we live in a way that's in harmony with what God designed for us to be, that's our worship to Him. And so I think it's all of it. And I think that's what gets us kind of pigeonholed sometimes when we think worship is music. And I don't think anybody's saying that. I think that's something I appreciate about the worship movement now, is that people appreciate the songs and music, but even now Christian artists are making not just worship songs, but they're making, songs about life, but
Yeah.
as a believer. So like they're even using their gifts. So it's just, I think that worship is got such a depth to it. But I agree, it's private, it's public, let your light shine before men so they will glorify God. But it's also, when you pray, go, or when you give, do it in secret. So there's like that dichotomy of there's a private and a public, but it all is for him and to him. And I remember Jeremy, whenever we were worshiping, he would catch the shift of like, because he would be up on the stage just, leading, not leading the worship, but he would just worship in front of everybody to kind of give a visual of like, here are some ways that the Bible says to worship. But he would also be very intentional when he could sense that the room was kind of like clapping and like enjoying each other, that he would point back up to the ceiling and be like, look, where, obviously God's not in the ceiling, but he would point and be like, the focus needs to be on him. This is why we're doing this. And yes, there is horizontal encouragement, but there's the worship is vertical. So yeah, that was a long explanation, but that's what we think about
No,
worship.
I love it. And something I love probably the most is about like worship, like public and being a private thing. Because and I think I've talked about this pretty recently, maybe it was like with Kaylee or something, but about like seeking him in the private place, like off the stage, off the platform, because and I think Pastor Bryce has mentioned this, maybe like to me or just like in staff, but what happens on a Sunday morning is like a direct reflection of like what you're doing in the private place. The real work doesn't happen on just like a Sunday or a Wednesday. Like it happens when like you're praying like at your house, or like, it like, just like you said, like worship's a lifestyle. It's the way you live your life. It's how you treat others. So representing Christ well to other people. And something I love how we do like on Sundays, like let's continue our worship by giving. Like, worship is not just a set list or like songs and music, and it is. And I love how you said like using it as like even like a memorization tool of like scripture, but also like it's just a way, it's a lifestyle, it's the way that you live your life. That's what the Bible says is what God calls us all to do.
Yeah.
Still worship him through everything we do, through every decision we make.
Yeah.
So that was a great explanation. So what does it mean to live a lifestyle of worship? Like, what does that look like on like a day-to-day for you guys?
I answered first last time.
Oh, got me.
She went first last time.
Yeah, we're gonna take her.
Well, I do think it's just intentionality. It's intentionality with, just like you would if you were leading worship corporately, then you're picking the set, you're choosing, like what. I think the same thing, like God has told us, is it Micah 6:8? I think it's Micah 6:8, where he says, he's already told you what to do, seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. And so there's a blueprint that we have and we're given, and we believe that's in Scripture, and it lays out. Now, it doesn't tell you like at 6 a.m. wake up and this is when you do this, but it does lay out how you should live and what your priorities should be. And so I think as far as a lifestyle of worship, it is keeping the main thing the main thing. It's the priority. It is, that is why we, in Scripture says, in his law, he meditates day and night. It talks about meditating in his word day and night. It talks about, and that's how you'll be like a tree planted by the water. Those, being intentional, pray without ceasing, like all those things where you're doing it intentionally, you're incorporating and you're weaving the presence of God into the things that you're doing, and you're asking the Holy Spirit. Kachina, when we were dating, she would tell me like, basically, I've just gotten to the point, she would say, I've gotten to the point where, and I'm telling your definition, but maybe not, but she would just say things like, I want to ask God to help show me what the next step is in everything, and you have people like Paul and when they were on their missionary journeys, where he would God would tell him the next town that he was going to go to the next day and stop, and then, okay, now go here, like step by step. And I wonder how we would all live if we were that yielded in that way, where God, I want to glorify, what's like set me on a path for your maximum glorification today. Like what that looks like with my kids. Like what can I do with my kids, and what kind of joy, what revelation can I get from my kids today by spending time with them of you and stuff like that. Like I think that that's in my mind. God, how do you get maximum glorification today? I'm going to love my family. I'm going to do all the things that you said. I'm going to work hard, and Holy Spirit, help me when I get off track to continue that. And like you said, I think that A.W. Tozer says, he says, public religion is perfected when private religion is purified, is what he says. So it's that same thing. It's like when you take the personal responsibility to worship God and to sanctify your life, then the public stuff, even like our family unit glorifies God more when I take personal responsibility to glorify God. When she does, then our family becomes, and our boys see that. And then when our family does and we bring that to our life group, then our life group does. And then when our life groups, all the church comes together, all the life groups coming together on a Sunday morning, then our church does. When we bring that to an event, everybody, you know what I mean? Like, or when we bring it to outreach, if everybody took that personal responsibility. But yeah. What do you think, Boog?
Well, there's not much to add to that. I do think that it's an act of vulnerability to truly live a lifestyle of worship. There's a trust that you have to have in God and his faithfulness and who he is. It's a knowing of who he is so that you respond accordingly. And the more revered we are to him, the more we know him, then the more revered we are to him in our daily lives. So recognizing that, any choice that I make, like you said, like I really have been at times in my life where I would just stop and pray with any decision. And I trusted that God would give me peace about any decision. And, there are times for waiting, but it's an act of faith. I think living a lifestyle of worship is an act of faith. And like you said, intentionality, like looking out for opportunities to glorify God by pointing others to him. Right. And so regardless of what you do, it's constantly like, how can I glorify you, God? How can I help others to know you? How can I know you more? How can I give you the honor and exhortation and extol you in the way that you deserve to be? And I think that it's interesting because it is that balance of like knowing him more, and the more time you spend with someone, the more you know them. Yeah. When we have his word, the more you learn of him through his word, then the more you know him, and the more you know him, the more wonderful you see that he is, and you kind of can't help but overflow with worship and recognizing and revering. So yeah, that's good. Lifestyle of worship, that's what it is.
It's so good. And I think when Russell was speaking, it just reminded me of a story. It's kind of off topic, but not really. When the Asbury Revival was happening, and we had I came up here with it was like me, Jordan, just a few other people, and Pastor Bryce, and he was like live streaming. And I don't know how did y'all find out about it? Was it the live stream?
It was the live stream.
Okay. Well, Pastor Bryce started live streaming it, but the crazy thing is like more people just started showing up without the live stream. Like people just started showing up, and so I don't know if it was like people just felt like they needed to be there or what, but it kept multiplying. But when y'all showed up with Zeke and Zadok, I literally started crying. Like, I started crying, and I'm going to get emotional now. Yeah. Because, that pays off. Oh, my gosh, y'all, I'm getting so emotional.
You're so emotional.
I told y'all I cry about everything.
Well, you love our boys.
Animals and our boys.
Yeah.
Daniel. But that, blessed me, and it blessed my mom so much. Like, we talked about it on the way home, because bringing them into that environment of just worship and prayer and keeping them with you and walking around and praying with them, it truly rubs off, because that's what my parents did with me and Kaylee. We were up here every single time the doors were open. Yeah. If it was prayer, if it was worship, we were 3 years old right up there with our mom and dad, Yeah. And so I just hope that's encouragement to y'all, that will pay off in them. And that truly was just a blessing to me, because like my mom's always said that like she truly feels like heaven's going to be praises of, you know, God's people, but also just the laughter of children.
Yeah.
And so when Zeke was up there just running around laughing in the altars, like that brought so much joy to, like, I feel like everyone in the room. It was just like a breath of fresh air, like, you know, like, because I feel like some people can, you know, church is so serious, you have to put on a face, you know, but in something like Pastor Eddie always made it a point, like, even like this is the only church I've ever known. So I've been here since I was like 6 months old. My parents started coming here. And my mom told me a story about like one day I was running through the altars or like on the stage, just being a kid, being crazy. And my mom was like, Danielle, like, get off the stage. And Pastor Eddie caught her, and he was like, no, like, I want this to be a place where she can be free and have fun and laugh. And so I just hope that's encouragement to y'all. Like, that blessed me and my family, just like y'all bringing them into an environment like that and raising them up in the church like that. So I don't know, when you were speaking, it just reminded me of that story. And so
transparently, it's really difficult in those moments, you know, to feel, like you said, it feels like everything can be so serious at times, and you want to be considerate of other people. Yeah. But that's one of the things that I really appreciated that night. I know multiple people came up to us and said something to us about bringing the boys and helping them be in that environment. And that's what we hope for, you know, and sometimes that can be so challenging, but it is so valuable. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to bring them here and be around everyone who wants them here, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was such a blessing, truly. And so I thank you guys for that, for being good examples for them.
I can't remember who wrote the book, Wild at Heart. I can't remember who wrote it, so sorry, guy. But the something specifically that he said was, he was talking about little boys, and he was like, we tell them to sit down and be quiet in church when they're little. And then when we're older, we're like, why aren't you saying anything? Like, why aren't you standing up? Why aren't you speaking out? And so I do think this church does a great job of being like, no, let them in. Like, let the little children come to me. You know, Jesus wasn't like stifled or distracted by that. He welcomed that. And I've noticed we've had the boys in services several times where it's been like, I'm worried that it's a distraction, but people just smile and people pay attention, or, you know, like, or they just move forward with it. They want them there, and that's good. It's good. So
y'all know I love those boys. Yeah. They're awesome.
We like them too.
They are awesome.
They're a hoot. I love them.
Oh, and Zeke, the other day, we were in the car, and he started singing, "You are holy." And then he said, "Okay, Mom, your turn." And he said, "Go, Mom."
Go, Mom. Oh, my goodness.
So he wanted everyone in the car to have their turn to sing. Yes, it was a good time.
Everybody got a verse.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's cool hearing them too worshiping, and I know, you know, they're still developing their understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we all are, but it's really cool to hear and see them like developing their own relationship with God.
Absolutely. For sure. It'll pay off for sure. So you guys are some pretty cool parents, I guess.
Well,
I guess.
Lord help us.
So I guess to kind of close out, explain kind of y'all's like specific call to be worship leaders. Like, what kind of, were you both like worship leaders before you got married, or did that kind of like transpire? Like, how did that all happen, I guess? Because it's so cool. I love seeing you guys like lead worship together. I think that's really special to see a couple leading worship together.
We absolutely love leading worship together. We love to write together, and
yes, y'all write songs. Y'all have like songs.
Yeah,
that's
Embers,
crazy.
Free Run Worship.
That's crazy.
Check it out on Spotify.
No, I'm like, I just remembered that though. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, y'all actually write music.
It's really cool.
Link in the bio, guys. Link in the bio. Download, pre-save the link.
Give us grace and mercy, but we have some music out.
Yeah. Well, and that was fun to record, like. But I think it is the most fun is like getting to be in those moments of worship, like focusing on God together, and like flowing and knowing that there are plans, but also just kind of flowing together. There's a comfortability and a trust that's there that's really helpful. As far as callings go, I don't know. So we talk about this a lot, different callings. Like, I don't know if I want to go into that whole big conversation. You can just cut this part out, right? Well, I don't know. Like I feel like this is, like I said, it's a common conversation that we have. Like, I believe, and scripturally I've seen that we are all called to be worshipers. We are all called to glorify God.
We're all called to ministry. And
yeah,
we're all called to ministry.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I don't know. It feels almost like I feel uncomfortable almost with saying like I'm called to be a worship leader. Like,
yes. And I think I watched a podcast with like Stephanie Gretzinger recently about this. Yeah. No, it literally, it was almost, it's crazy, almost word for word like what you're saying. It was so good. It was so eye-opening.
Same heart, girl.
No, for real.
Girl, let's collaborate.
Yeah.
Kachina, Rodden, Stephanie Gretzinger.
Right.
Look out for it.
Well, I just think, we're all called to worship. And I think that for me, I'm just grateful for any opportunity to worship alongside others. And if I can encourage other people to worship as well, then that's an honor and that's a blessing. I don't know how I feel about being necessarily called, but I know I'm called to worship God.
Mm. That's good. Yeah, I think we talk about that a lot because I don't know. It feels more like it's just something that God has gifted you for, that you naturally tend to be drawn to. So if that's a calling, then maybe that's what it is. I feel like Kachina, for instance, is incredible, like in corporate settings of bringing intimacy. Even though it's a huge room, you still feel like drawn to zone in with the Lord because of the way Kachina leads worship. And I think that's something that one of the things I felt, I mean, if you're talking about like feel like drawn to or calling to, like I think there are times when I've always had a passion for drawn to like teaching like other worship leaders or like leading other worship leaders or encouraging other worship leaders, bringing a love kind of like for teaching and like encouraging, but also like the love of music and writing and stuff like that. So like I feel like we try to build up other people and give other people opportunities, like, like, hey, why don't you lead this song? Like, when we're asked to lead somewhere or do something, like trying to give and empowering others and kind of I just think that that's something that we've always loved to do. I enjoy, the Pastor Gabriel came the other day and was prophesying over, talking about how like he was talking to Delilah and saying that we would have an opportunity to like, raise up worship leaders and raise up. And that, like, my heart just was like, oh, yes, God, that's what I feel like. That's something that he wants me to do. And I like what that looks like, calling, whatnot. I enjoy encouraging people in worship that lead worship. I enjoy encouraging musicians to fully explore. I think musicians get neglected a lot. It's about their skill, but not necessarily about like explore, like get good at what you do and even explore like ministering on your instrument. It's one thing to play, it's another thing to minister on your instrument. Like, whenever Evan gets up there and just rips a solo when we're in an instrumental part, and you can tell when he's like, I don't know how to explain it, but like when he's ministering on his guitar, it's just like, I feel that, like, and I know that that's something that God's using him in. Or when somebody is, like the other day, Kachina was like flowing. I just remember Pastor Delilah, I really appreciated. She was like, go. Like, and Kachina was just like, I think she was spontaneously worshiping during the service. And it's just like giving space, making space for those moments, recognizing the giftings in other people, and Paul told Timothy to stir up the gifts that were given to him, like with the laying on of hands. And like, so even like, how can I be one of those people that stirs up gifts in other people and, and encourages that? But I think that that's something we kind of naturally do as people. We want people to feel empowered to walk in their gifts and their abilities and encourage them in that. But so, yeah, we're called to just I feel like we're called to love people and help the worship. We tend to be asked to help with worship and stuff like that and singing. So we love doing that. And I definitely love doing it with her. I appreciate getting scheduled by the team to get to lead next to her. That's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. I love seeing y'all up there together.
Wow.
It's cute.
We're really
Russ
going
is
for
also
cuteness.
incredibly talented, and I
No,
do
he can
think
play
that
like
there's
every
some
instrument.
like
It's
yeah,
crazy.
there's
It's
some
crazy.
I don't know. We were kind of talking about like even like I said, we've had this conversation often about callings, but like how David, you know, he was anointed to be king, but he was also a worshiper, and how his time in the fields shepherding kind of prepared him for everything he was facing. So he, you know, he got to lead in the fields, he got to worship in the fields, he got to fight animals in the fields, and so all of those things prepared him for things that came up later that were huge moments in life, like fighting a giant and winning, and then becoming king and worshiping demons away from Saul, you know, like worshiping God and then them fleeing. Like I do fully believe that God uses our environment and the community around it. He does intentionally place us. So we always have opportunities to grow into more, into being used by God more, whether that's for worship or for anything else. And I think that that's one of the things that I have really seen in Russell and a lot of people here. You know, you have that talent and that has been nurtured. I mean, in you, even like being in the rock band, is that what it was? Yeah, rock band before short guitar.
Yes.
Like that's no accident. Those things have been nurtured in you for such a long time throughout your life, but then you do get to have choices on how you use those talents and abilities and giftings, and worship is using all of that you are, including those talents and gifts and abilities, to glorify him.
And making podcasts.
Hey, she got all kinds of talents and abilities.
She pursuing
hey,
that
and
purpose.
opportunities are arriving all over the place. Podcasts, worship leading, kids ministry, graphics, everything.
Yeah,
Danielle, y'all, if y'all need anything, Danielle Green's got you. She can do it all. The Lord's given her all kinds of talents, so and she's using them to glorify Him. So
She's
He's
worshiping.
giving more and more opportunities.
Worshiping God. No, but yeah, I think it's so important, like, using the gifts God's given you to glorify Him, you know, in every way you can. Like, even with, like, I love singing, I love leading worship, but I get so much joy out of, like, photography and, like, you know, like, capturing those moments in worship. So, I think just, like, using those gifts has been a blessing to me for sure. And being able to work here at the church now, doing creative work, what I love to do. And also have the opportunity to still do worship and kids and youth and, you know, be able to literally just serve in whatever way I can. Like, I'm serving every week because I truly get enjoyment out of it. It is. I've been working in the nursery recently. I love the kids. No, for like the toddlers, Zeke's class, my absolute favorite class.
Oh God!
Just because like
they're so much fun.
They are, because you do that class quite often, right?
I recently have,
Yeah, I love that class. They're like they're my favorite. It's my favorite age group. I think it's just because those kids, because I'm close to all their parents, so like I just know all of them so well. Yeah. But yeah, I love the kids, man. It's so much fun.
Kids. We've got the coolest kids here.
For real. No, I have thought about that. I'm like, we have the cutest and coolest kids. Like, if that was a competition, like, we would win, man.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's the competitive coming out of
Hands
me.
down. No cap.
Any other church that's listening to this, bring your kids. We're going to have a cute kid.
We're going to have a cuteness contest. Oh my goodness. Guys, this has been so much fun.
Thank you.
I mean, that's
Thank you for having
all I have. Thank y'all for taking time out of your day
to
come and be on this podcast. I hope it was a blessing to all of you. It was for sure a blessing to me. So, I love you guys.
Love you too, Daniel.
Oh yeah.
So this is what the cool kids do.
This is what the cool kids do. I still do this.
I know, right? So, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.